local footy fans, welcome to another edition of Talking SANFL. My name is Andrew Hayes. This is Daniel Menzel. Let's talk round 7 men's. Before we get to the ladder, let's talk results, and we'll start on Friday night. Once again, each and every week, we say it, unbelievably, Norwood is still winless.
They are winless. We will get into the up-form insights and talk about Norwood going 0-7. We knew it was going to be a tough game against the Crows. They've been very good this season, and they are good at home. We remember the game last year where Matty Panos goal got them over the line. Unfortunately, this year round, they weren't able to kick a score. 5 goals, 6, 36 to obviously Adelaide, 8, 12, 60. Again, the Crows keep rolling and Norwood struggling.
A little bit later on, maybe I will tip the Centrals to beat Norwood out at Elizabeth Oval, so that might get them over the line for their first win, because that's what happens when I tip for a side. Next game, let's talk about the Eagles and West Adelaide. It would seem that the Eagles are absolutely back. It's funny how things can change within a couple of weeks at a football club.
It is, and it's also dependent on the draw and what's happening in the league. And we sort of touched on that a little bit, that had a really tough first 5 weeks of the season, the Eagles did, and have then since come up against Centrals at home and obviously West Adelaide away. A couple of teams that are in a development phase, and far too good on the weekend, kicking 14-10, 94 to 5-8, 38. It is their best performance of the season, and equally, it's West Adelaide's worst performance of the season. They didn't fire a shot on the weekend, and Adam Hartley won't be wrapped with that performance. But the Eagles are rolling as a sturt. They just continue to get the job done. South Adelaide much better in this game. They lost 7-7-49 to 7-9-51. But the Double Blues, 7 from 7.
This was one of those games where it looked like South Adelaide, for most of the game, was going to win. So to give absolute credit where it's due, they were up against it all day. It looked like South Adelaide were going to break through. And in a day where probably everything was going wrong, Sturt still found a way to win. And
that's an example of a really good side there that, as you said, when things are going against you and you're still able to get the win, it showed some real maturity in that group. And we'll go from there to Prospect Oval, which was North Adelaide taking on Port Adelaide. Port have been in some good form. They won 3 in a row leading into this game, going for 4 on the trot. And they just got pipped by North Adelaide, 15-10, 100 to 14 goals, 8, 92.
It's going to be interesting to see Port's make-up over the next few weeks. There could be as many as 4 ins for the AFL side this week, which will obviously cause a bit of a trickle effect down to the SANFL. And the last game of the round was Glenelg taking on Central District. Not overly surprising. We expected the Bays to do this, but it was tight.
It was tight, and Central's 3 from 3 at home this season. Been very difficult to beat out there. They've knocked off North Adelaide and the Crows out there. So we anticipated them to go well in this game, and they did. But Glenelg far too good in that third quarter to kick 5 goals and winning 8 goals, 5-53 to 6-8, 44. And Glenelg keeps rolling. They've won 6 on the trot now as well. So as we take a look at the ladder, Sturt won 7 in a row, Glenelg's won 6 in a row. The 2 best teams in the competition at the moment, but I still feel like the top 3 are probably just that little bit far ahead of the rest of the pack at the moment.
Yeah, see, I'm interested to see what happens over the next 3 or 4 weeks and exactly what North Adelaide and the Eagles can do. For whatever reason, probably the fact that they've won flags in the last few years, I cannot at any stage write off the Eagles from having a genuine charge. And mainly because of the personnel that's there as well.
Yeah.
Well, and I promise I'm not saying that because you're sitting next to me.
No, without a doubt. The personnel there at the Eagles Footy Club is as good as any other, and we're starting to see that come through now. And before we jump into the next part of the show, we'll talk about one of those players at the Eagles that's having a really good purple patch at the moment. But for mine, it's probably the top 5 has, I guess, put themselves ahead of the pack now, and it's probably a pretty clear top 5 at the moment.
Yep. All right, let's jump into the SANFL summary brought to you by Rejuvenate Massage and Fitness, and we'll go straight into the moment of the week. You want to speak about Matty Coulthard?
Yeah, so as we see here, the clip on the screen, he kicked 4 goals for Glenelg on the weekend. It's probably the one thing that forward line was lacking is we know they've got Hosey, they've got Reynolds, and they've got McBain up there, but it's maybe that small forward that hasn't been there. For him to pop up and kick 4 in a game where they only kicked 8 as a team, that really adds another element to that forward line.
We'll talk about the talking point of the week now, and we're going to discuss a bloke who shouldn't be playing. Shouldn't be playing in the SANFL, he should be playing in the AFL. So this competition is lucky to have him.
It is lucky to have him, and off the back of a state game performance where he got the medal, he got the Foss Williams medal, he played forward in that game. He's played a lot of midfield to start the season so far this year, but he went permanent forward the last few weeks for the Eagles, and that's Jimmy Rowe. He had 26 touches and kicked 3 goals as a forward, permanent forward. So it just shows that after 36 games of AFL footy in the last 2 seasons, is clearly up to that level, and he's playing to be probably the best player in the comp at the moment.
So you know him better than most. You play footy with him. What's he like?
Yeah, I'd probably describe him as your country footballer. He just loves playing footy. He loves getting to work. He'll just get the job done, and we see that every week at the moment. There's not a lot of fuss about him, and he's been a massive reason as to why the Eagles are starting to really roll.
It's just fun to watch him play, and if he does stay in the SANFL place for the Eagles, then that's very, very good for local footy fans. The stat of the week, we'll talk about the Crows and their defence.
Yeah, the Crows have been known for their offence. They are number 1 in offence. They were last year by a fair way as well, but they've probably gone under the radar where they're the number 2 team in the competition now in defence. They are conceding just 55 points a game, and they only leaked 36 points to Norwood on the weekend. So not only can they hit the scoreboard, they're showing that they can stop teams now as well, which is why I've got them in that Sturt and Glenelg category at the moment.
I think with the Crows as well, they're not going to get much stronger. You look at some of the other sides, you look at Port Adelaide, you wonder what they can do when they're completely at full strength, but this is as strong as Adelaide's going to get. So it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of their season pans out. Time now for our tips and predictions, thanks to our good friends, our really good friends at Top Sport. Let's start on Saturday at X-Convenience Oval. That's Elizabeth. The Dogs taking on the Redlegs. This is an extremely winnable game for Centrals. They'd love their chances, of course. I mean, can you see the Redlegs losing again?
I can, and my prediction will be that I think Centrals will run them off their legs. I think that the second half for the Dogs will be far too good. They'll kick 6 or 7 goals in the second half and run away with this game. I'm going to tip the Dogs. We are both in form. We both went 5 from 5 last week, Hazy. Yeah. So hopefully we can back that up again this week. I'm going the Dogs. Who are you going to go?
I'm going to go with the Dogs as well, purely because of that. I mean, they play so well out at X-Convenience Oval. It's not just a different world, but it's such a different oval. It's a tiny oval at Norwood, and it is an absolute paddock, as you know, out at the Ponderosa. So, yeah, they'd be very much looking forward to that as well. And I know a lot of the players still, they're going to be treating, that's not just going to be another Saturday game. There's something different about playing Norwood, particularly a wounded Norwood as well. Yeah,
100%. It's a team that they can run over the top of. And the other thing as well, which we'll probably forget about Norwood, is they are the reigning premiers, meaning that they are the hunted still. You still want to beat this team. They won the flag last year. So they still have that. When they play, every team has that mindset, and I think Centrals need a win to stay in touch with the top 5.
Yep. Next game at Stratorama Stadium, that's at Glenelg, is the Bays taking on the Crows. This is going to be a hell of a game. For me, I've still got the Bays, but I still think it'd be close. I think it purely comes down, I know the Crows don't have an official home ground, but the fact that the Bays play that deck and it's intimidating just a little bit better than anyone else in terms of home ground advantage, I reckon.
I agree. I think it's so hard to win there, and they've showed that of late. And they won 6 on the trot. I think they will continue their winning ways. Your prediction in this game?
I've got the Tigers to be 20 plus points.
Yep.
Okay, and saying that, you mentioned before, what's going on the radar is the defence of the Crows. So we talk about Hosey, McBean and just how potent they are. If they're not firing, then Reynolds is. Then perhaps this is the defence to do it, but Glenelg are just too strong at the minute for me. Next game, and it was an interesting result on the weekend because Sturt were absolutely under the pump against South Adelaide. You mentioned it as well, that the Bloods performed nowhere near what they're capable of, so you expect Adam Hartland and the boys to respond. Still, it's at Unley, and that is a fortress as well. I've got Sturt, but I think it'll be a little bit tighter than people think.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one for mine. Sturt at home against West away. It should be an obvious pick, this one. The SANFL, it's amazing what mindset your team is in going into each game. We know that any team can win in this competition depending on how you rock up to play. And so Sturt, if they go in thinking we're playing at home against West, we'll win this easily, I think it'll be much closer than what it should be. But if West deliver what we saw on the weekend, Sturt will convincingly win this game because they're far better on paper. I think Sturt will be too good. I think they'll crack the 100 this week as well. I think they'll kick 100 points at Wigan Oval. As we move to Alberton Oval, which is Port Adelaide taking on the Eagles. Now, you said that the Port Adelaide lineup is going to be predicated on what happens in the AFL team. Very interesting to see if they get Dixon, Marshall, Jonas, these sort of guys back.
Yep.
Obviously think the Eagles will win with the form they're in at the moment, but it might be closer if those guys do come back into the AFL team.
Yeah, it could be. They could get Boak back for the AFL side, which will drop someone else. And the other one as well is Ratio Fantasia could make his return to football. How much time he gets in the SANFL is anyone's guess, but look, they could be almost at full strength, Port Adelaide. In saying that, I think the Eagles have turned, and I think they're going to charge now. So I'm still going to say the Eagles.
And as we move to the last game at Prospect Oval, North Adelaide back-to-back games at home here. They play well at home. They're taking on South Adelaide, who absolutely needs a win. If they're going to stay in touch with the top 5, I think North at home will be too good.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Roosters are probably starting to charge as well. They've really found their feet after what was an unbelievably surprising start to the season. They've just got too much talent to not give this thing a red-hot crack.
They do, and on that talent, I think Young and Coombe will have 60 touches between them and be far too good in that midfield.
All right, time now for my multi, and as I say in the classics, you're only as good as your last game, and in my particular case, you're only as good as your last multi, and refresh my memory, man. How did that go?
Well, you went with Adelaide. They won convincingly over Norwood. You went with the Eagles, who won convincingly over West. And North Adelaide just got over the line against Port Adelaide, but that is a win. At some good odds too. So thanks to our friends at Top Sport. Obviously gamble responsibly, but it's great to see that we've got some proceeds there going to charity from a win last week. Let's see if we can go 2 from 2 with the multi. Where would you like to go this week?
It's gambling, mate. It's not a big deal. We've just got to pick the winners. Do it responsibly, of course. All right, I'm going to go another 3-leg. Because I'm on fire.
That's what's working.
So I'm going to back them in. I mentioned earlier in the show that this could be an opportunity for the Redlegs to actually get their first game because I'm tipping them to lose. So I've got the Bulldogs to beat the Redlegs at Elizabeth. That's the first leg. Second leg, I've got Sturt to beat West Adelaide. And that's purely because Sturt are just so, it would seem, almost unbeatable at regular season at Wigan Oval. And then the last one, I think this might be a little bit tighter, but still part of the 3-leg, I've got the Roosters to beat South at Prospect on Sunday.
So Centrals to win, Sturt and the Roosters in Hazy's multi for this week. Enjoy the footy this week. 5 really good games. Let's see if we can go 5 from 5 again in the tips, Hazy, and we'll see you all next week.